Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today on YouTube we are playing Slay the Spire while listening to audio from the Johnny Depp defamation trial. I am Persevere and this is the Grand Arcade. And so, trying to be consistent, I am going to do my best to record as much as I can of this 7 hours of a day in court. That was what uploaded about 15 hours ago. So yeah, that's from yesterday. This is what was uploaded yesterday. So yeah, yeah, it's a lot. I'm definitely gonna need to have my phone on the charger, and I made the right decision. I didn't use my wireless options. I'm using all plugins. Everything's plugged in except for my cell phone, and I'm going to plug that in very soon. Just bear with me. But before I do that, could you please share the live? Share the video. I'm about to share it myself. I'm going to share it myself. Let me check the sound. Oh, the sound is very crisp. I love it. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, let's backtrack. Let's make sure I got the right video. Oh yeah, that's the one. Johnny, Johnny, you can hear him outside. Johnny, that's from inside the courtroom. You can hear them outside. Johnny, the Johnny Depp fans, I love you, Johnny. Johnny, pick me. I would never do you like that. I would love you, Johnny. You deserve a good woman. Pick me, Johnny. Ooh. This must be kind of nice though sometimes to have all that kind of attention. I bet it feels good sometimes to be walking down the street. Johnny! What if they were just walking down the street? I'm just walking down the street, minding my business, and then I'm just, I'm about to cross it, do some regular stuff, about to cross it, at the street light, at the crosswalk, and they just, Persevere! Ah, that'd be pretty fun. I mean, I'm sure it gets to you at some points, but I think for the most part it'd probably be fun because the energy is positive. It's a lot of positive energy, Well, I'm talking too much. There's too much me talking on this audio play that I'm about to do. I try not to talk as much when I'm on when I'm doing the audio court case. Yeah, so let me get to this. Let's see, we already did the sound check. Oh, by the way, while we're getting started, go ahead and hit the like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. The subscribing is very important. It's very important, and it's appreciated. Every subscriber is highly appreciated. I have to check something real quick. Okay. Yeah, I need to share my live as well. So let me go do that. Alright. Let's see. Share the live. Please share the live. And never fear, we are going to get started very soon. Don't get impatient with me. You know, just hang with me. Hang with me for a little bit. Or if you're getting annoyed with me, whenever I start the audio, you'll see the screen change. It'll switch over. So you'll see me leave the option screen as soon as the audio starts. So if you're getting impatient, just scroll until you see the screen change. There you go. Problem solved. Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah. I need to do my shares. Johnny Depp. Defamation. Did I spell that correctly? I probably did not. Oh, let's just spell it court case. Defamation. Yeah, Johnny Depp court case. There we go. There we go. See, that's how you do that. When you're not a good speller, you just spell the words. You spell a different word that means the same thing that you know how to spell. That's how you do it. And booyah. Alright. So now we have that going. Alright. We've got the court case loaded up. Got my court case audio ready. And so with that, we're going to start the show right now. And thank you for being patient while the show is getting started.
as far as in totality.
All right, are we ready for? All right, are we ready for the jury? Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Are we ready to continue with the witness on deposition?
Yes, Your Honor. The remaining portion of the deposition video of Aaron Filati will include the questioning by counsel for Mr. Depp.
All right, thank you.
Do you have any professional responsibility to report or document suspected physical abuse of one of your patients?
If I witness or find out information of domestic or child abuse, yes.
And so what is that responsibility?
I need to notify superiors of the information I was provided with.
When did you first meet Ms. Hurd?
I believe it was the end of, excuse me, hang on one sec. I have it here. I'm just looking at my nursing notes. It looks like August 27th, 2014.
Okay, so can we please pull up the nursing notes, which I believe are Exhibit 2? Okay, I'd like to, while we have this document up, I'd like to go through this section that's called client history. Do you see what I'm referring to? Yes. Was the information in this paragraph self-reported to you by Ms. Heard?
I just have a quick moment to review that, and then I can answer that question.
Certainly.
Thank you. So, to answer that question, I believe this was information given to me from Ms. Heard. I'm not positive, but I can say that anytime I refer or begin a sentence with client states or client reports, those I can confirm, I received that information from the client. As far as in totality, I would assume most information came from Ms. Heard, but I can't rule out that I didn't get any information from the treating physician in preparation either.
And I think would this information have been relayed to you at that first meeting with Ms. Heard?
This information, if it was information I received from Dr. Kipper, I would have had that information probably prior to meeting her. But anytime that I said states and I can confirm that I got that information, I would assume that it was sometime within the first day or two of meeting her, because I usually take a client history when I meet a client.
Put down a couple more sentences. It says, AH reports history of substance abuse, including an addiction to cocaine and liquor. CT client reports abstaining from cocaine for a couple years, but was unable to report exact dates. Do you see where I'm referring to?
Yes, I see that.
And that's something that you would have written?
Yes.
Okay. And this is also information that you believe Ms. Heard would have reported directly to you?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this, but I would have to refer to my notes that says the client reports it, so the assumption would be made that she provided me with that information.
So it goes on to say, CT does not smoke cigarettes. She reports consuming 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day. Do you see that?
Yes.
And again, this is based off of your notes, something that Ms. Heard reported to you, correct?
Again, I don't recall the specifics of that. I would refer again that in that particular sentence you're referring to, I used the verbiage of she reports, meaning Ms. Heard reports, so I would make the assumption that she reported that information to me.
In the time that Ms. Heard was your patient, do you recall seeing her consume wine?
Yes.
Is this self-report of 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day consistent with your recollection?
I don't recall her drinking red wine every time I saw her, so I can't confirm that each time I saw her she would drink 1 to 3 glasses. I don't recall her drinking every time I saw her.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard appear intoxicated from drinking alcohol?
I don't recall her being intoxicated.
Okay, so moving on to the next sentence here, it says she reports a familial history of substance abuse. Both mother and father have abused and become dependent on stimulants, methamphetamine, opiates, and alcohol. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And the she here, it refers to Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is also something that Ms. Heard reported to you as far as your notes reflect?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this. It appears that she did report that, but I don't remember.
So a couple sentences later here, it says client admits to history of anxiety, eating disorder, attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder, codependence issues, and occasional insomnia. Do you see that sentence?
Yes.
And based off of this note and specifically the language that says client admits, you believe that this is something that Ms. Hurd would have reported to you?
As you stated, because it says client admits, I would make that assumption.
What do you recall Ms. Hurd saying about her history of anxiety issues?
I don't recall specifics. As I stated earlier in the morning, I remember a general anxiety with many issues in her life.
What do you recall Ms. Hurd telling you about her codependence issues?
I have vague memory of discussing codependence issues within previous relationships. I couldn't give you specifics on that. I just sort of have a vague memory of discussing that.
Do you have any non-specific recollections of Ms. Hurd being angry or enraged?
Other than that time that I spoke about in London 2014, I didn't specifically witness anger and rage from Ms. Hurd.
The next sentence here says her mood has been labile. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes.
So first of all, what does that mean?
Emotional ability is typically when emotions swing on a pendulum. You know, for example, you may see someone very sad at one moment and quickly transition to extreme happiness. It sort of swings from, like I said, it's sort of a pendulum.
And did you ever in the time that you treated Ms. Hurd, did you ever personally witness this type of emotional ability?
I don't recall specifically.
Okay. The next sentence says, client expressed concern to husband and Dr. Kipper that she's nervous about being alone while husband is working on movie set in London and expressed she has difficulty dealing with feelings of insecurity and jealousy when not in the presence of her husband. Did I read that right? Do you recall learning this during your initial meeting with Ms. Hurd?
I don't recall learning this during the initial meeting, but again, when I initially met Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp, it was fairly brief because then after that we traveled to London. So I don't recall if I learned of this instantaneously or if that was gathered, throughout the next day or two, spending time with her.
Is this description of Ms. Hurd having feelings of insecurity and jealousy when not in the presence of Mr. Depp, is that consistent with your recollection when you were treating Ms. Hurd?
I wouldn't say all the time that was an issue. I have a vague sense of those issues popping up throughout the years, but I wouldn't say that was a constant theme.
But you do have recollections of that being an issue at some time while you were treating her.
I would say that's a fair statement.
Please go to the entry for August 29th, 2014. Okay, so in this note, I'd like to direct your attention to this section that starts with 2345. And specifically the first sentence, it says, client RN and Debbie RN went to dinner together. You see that?
I do.
And Debbie RN is Debbie Lloyd, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm going down a couple sentences here. It says, client verbalizes feelings of confusion as she feels fiance would like her to decrease/eliminate acting career and stay home. Do you see that? Do you remember having this specific conversation with Ms. Heard?
I don't remember specifically, but I do have a general recollection. No, I don't recall specifics.
Did you ever have any discussions with Mr. Depp concerning Ms. Heard's acting career?
I have a sort of vague general memory of discussing that before. As to specific details, I don't think I can provide you with specific. It sounds familiar.
Did you ever have the impression that Mr. Depp wanted Ms. Heard to stop her or end her acting career?
I don't recall that being a sentiment.
Let's, if we could scroll down to the entry for September 2nd, 2014. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a sentence in the middle of this entry. It says, RN and CT discuss CT's history and current relationship. CT reports difficulty with jealousy, issues, and anxiety around fiance's fame and ability to interact with females often. Did I read that correctly? And that's a note that you wrote, correct? Do you recall Ms. Heard expressing this sentiment to you?
Again, like we discussed earlier, I don't recall that specifically. I do have a general sense of jealousy, anxiety issues popping up throughout the years, but I don't remember that specific discussion to give you anything deeper than that.
Let's please move on to the entry for September 4th, 2014. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to, this is also in the middle. It says CT ate dinner with RN at 2100 at restaurant.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. CT became frustrated with wait staff over miscommunication. CT calmly repeated herself to staff to resolve issue. CT expressed frustration over conflict to RN. RN reflected change in coping mechanisms as CT's previous coping skills involved impulsive anger and yelling. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Do you recall this incident at all?
I wouldn't have said that I remembered this in preparation for the deposition when I was rereading through these notes. I have sort of a vague memory of this, but I think my notes here probably are more specific than what I exactly remember.
Let's actually go to the entry for September 21st, 2014, and yes, okay. Please take a moment and review this, and once you're done, the question is does this note reflect that incident in London that you just referred to?
To answer your question, yes, that is what I'm referring to.
It says down here at the bottom of the notes, client's fiance offered emotional support. Is that accurate to your recollection?
I don't recall. I would have to refer to my nursing note, as it's probably a lot more reliable than my current memory.
I believe you testified earlier, though, that you recall that Mr. Depp was present on this occasion. Is that right?
That's correct.
move on to the entry for September 22nd. Okay, so this note begins, strike that. This starts with 0100. Is that 1 o'clock in the morning on September 22nd?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And it starts, RN notified that client requires assistance. Upon arrival, client noted to appear irritable, loud, and angry. Client screaming at times and appears agitated. Client crying and states she got into a verbal argument with fiance after RN departure. Does this refresh your recollection at all about Ms. Heard having an outburst?
I don't know that it refreshes my memory. I would say it reflects my memory.
This is the same outburst in London that you have been previously referring to?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you recall anything about what the fight between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard was about that's reflected in this note?
I don't really recall. I remember a general sense of Ms. Heard being very upset that her phone was hacked because there was very sensitive information that was leaked from it. And I feel like she was having a difficult time calming after that. So what there was any verbal disagreements, I would assume it's in relation to that, but I just don't remember the specifics of what that disagreement was about.
It says here, the client states she feels fiance did not provide support to client. Did I read that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Is that consistent with your recollection?
I didn't recall that, but again, I would state that my notes are much more reliable than my current memory, and I think that probably speaks to your previous question.
Let's please go to the entries which from March 7th, 2015, which are on page with the base number 16952. Now, I think we looked at these entries earlier. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the entry for March 7th, 2015, it says, client notifies RN via text of increasing anxiety, reports emotional lability. Do you recall Ms. Heard reporting why she was feeling anxious at this time?
No, I don't recall the specific reason of why she is notifying me of that at this time.
So it says here that she notified you via text, right?
Correct.
Directing your attention to the next note from March 8th, 2015. And I know you discussed this with Adam earlier, so I won't belabor this too much. But do you recall that at the time of this entry on March 8th, 2015, Ms. Heard was in Australia?
I would make that assumption based upon my note for March 8th. I state that client will be returning to Los Angeles, accompanied by House Manager Ben. I'm paraphrasing there, but yes, I believe she was coming from Australia for this particular entry.
It says here RN plans to meet client upon arrival. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I do.
And I think you testified to this earlier. You did see Ms. Heard the next day when she arrived back in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you look at the entry for March 9th, I refer to meeting her and her friends. So yes, I would have met her in person that day.
Do you recall how long you spent with Ms. Heard that following day?
I don't recall. My note states that I met her for dinner at 2200, which military time would be 10 p.m. I don't recall how long I was with her, so I would assume a couple hours, but again, I'm just making an assumption.
Do you recall observing any injuries to Ms. Heard when you saw her on March 9th, 2015?
No, I don't recall. I don't make note of it, but I don't recall either.
If Ms. Heard had visible injuries, is that something that you would have documented in your nursing notes?
I would assume so.
Do you recall Ms. Heard seeking any medical treatment from you when you saw her on March 9th, 2015?
I don't recall.
If Ms. Heard had sought medical treatment from you on that date, is that something you would have documented in your notes?
Perhaps. If there were requests for medical treatment that differed from sort of day-to-day status, then yes, I might have put it in my notes if I hadn't discussed with Dr. Kipper, but I don't make any reference to it in this particular note.
Could we please pull up what should be I think I would have uploaded as document B. It bears the base numbers Pilati 0134. Is it 14? I think we covered this before, but just to confirm, is this your email up at the top that says erinborn@hotmail.com? I'm sorry, did you respond?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. Okay, I'd like to direct your attention down to this email from David Kipper on March 9th, 2015. That starts out, Erin, love you too much. Do you recognize this email?
I believe I produced this in reference to the subpoena.
Do you recall receiving this email?
I don't recall, but I do remember reviewing this. I don't think I reviewed it in preparation for today, but probably at the time of the document request. I think I probably reviewed this.
Directing your attention to the middle of the email, do you see where it says, I'm sure JD will let her know we are coming home. I want her to please not see him for a few days until we can get him organized with the hand surgeon and get his meds balanced. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And JD refers to Mr. Depp in this instance?
Yes.
And the her is Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Did you have an understanding at the time as to why Dr. Kipper didn't want Ms. Heard to see Mr. Depp for a few days?
I don't recall exactly. This might have been in reference to Australia when they, meaning Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, were separated. I would have to check the dates on that.
Turning back to your notes where Ms. Heard was returning from Australia on March 9th, 2015, does that orient you?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that would be the same time period.
Okay. And you alluded to an understanding that Dr. Kipper wanted Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard separated.
Yes.
And why what was your understanding as to why they should be separated?
I don't recall specifics. I wasn't present in Australia at that time. I just remember a general sense of a big argument happening and the treatment team deciding that they should not be around each other. So Ms. Heard returned to Los Angeles and Mr. Depp stayed in Australia. For how long, I don't recall.
The next thing here says, please use the excuse that Dr. Kipper insists that JD stay quiet without any distraction for the rest of the week while we get his medications organized and balanced. None of this will be accepted by her, but I will be very upset. You can tell her this. If there's any stress created by a visit, that's premature. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you have any understanding as to why Dr. Kipper was directing you to provide this excuse to Ms. Heard?
Again, just the general sense that there was a major argument in Australia, which I wasn't present for, and separating because of that.
Did you have any understanding as to why Dr. Kipper stated that none of this will be accepted by Ms. Heard?
I would be speculating on that, but we used joking terminology.
Based on your experience treating Ms. Heard at this time in March of 2015, would you agree, or did you agree with Dr. Kipper that Ms. Heard would not accept not seeing Mr. Depp for a period of time?
I don't know specifically. As I think we talked about much earlier this morning, there was generally a sense of arguing, reconciling, and that sort of cycle happening frequently throughout their relationship.
If we could please go back to the nursing notes, which are Exhibit 2. Could we please go back to the entries from March 2015 that are on the page with the base number 169502? Now, we covered this earlier, but it says in your March 9th, 2015 entry, it says client states she would like to discuss recent events between her and husband with RN in private tomorrow. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Directing your attention to the entry for March 10th, 2015, it says RN met client at home at 1600. Does that refresh your recollection that you did meet with her the next day?
No, it doesn't refresh my recollection. However, I would refer to my nursing note.
Do you have any reason to doubt that these notes are accurate?
No.
Do you recall whether Ms. Heard showed any injuries to you on that at that time?
Oh, I don't recall any injuries.
Okay. Can we go back to Exhibit 2, which is the nursing notes, and specifically the entry for March 25th, 2015? Just go back up to the top of this entry for March 25th, please. And I just want to ask you about one more part of this. It says, states she is concerned about ability to trust fiance following argument on March 23rd, 2015. Do you have any recollection of Ms. Heard expressing concern about her ability to trust Mr. Depp?
I would say I have a generalized memory of there being, as I stated before, jealousy and anxiety issues, including mistrust within the relationship.
Do you recall Ms. Heard ever telling you that she thought Mr. Depp was cheating on her?
No, I don't recall that specifically. I just, as I said, have a general sense of remembering jealousy being an issue.
If we could, okay, I think, do you recall talking about visiting Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp for Thanksgiving earlier today?
Yes.
Does anything stand out in your mind as from that Thanksgiving dinner that you can recall?
Nothing really stands out other than it was, I sort of have a general sense of it being a really jovial, fun time together.
Do you recall how long you stayed at the dinner?
Not specifically, I would assume a few hours.
Could we please just quickly go to the note from November? This is in Exhibit 2, and then entry for November 26, 2015, which is on page 16954.
Please stand by.